Peace, beloved. Peace, beloved. Seiko Vaughn, the Power Broker. I had a great conversation yesterday on the Fly Guy Show with good brother Ponder and cousin Sam, and we dealt with a couple of contexts. Well, not context, but we dealt primarily with Candace Owens and her tweets and her Facebook message on Ahmaud Arbery. And I wanted to kind of develop a conversation. A lot of people are saying that Candace is totally bonkers. She's cray-cray. She doesn't speak for us. There are a few of us who are saying she speaks extremely well for us, and more of us need to listen to her. Some people are calling her a traitor. I'm going to promote the concept that she could be a traitor. She could be a translator. What I mean by translator is she might, when she actually the last few years, she's acted in a way that translate the values and the opinions of the majority power brokers in our country. So those who are making some of those decisions that are really not in our favor, she's been able to speak for them. And truthfully, I don't think we need her to speak less. I think we need her to speak more, because then we can really start developing some of the rebuttals and getting a better idea of what we're facing as we're pushing this empowerment agenda. In her video on Facebook, she mentioned that he was dressed in khakis and what avid jogger would wear khakis. Now, if we would say something like, what that a woman's dress led to her, made it easier, made it acceptable, understandable that they were attacked, we'd be crazy. You couldn't get away with that, couldn't say that. Or a man's dress for that instance. But it's kind of implying that his attire proved that he wasn't innocent. And the interesting thing is, that's the way that some of the power brokers in this country think. So we need to take her information and say, okay, now I understand. All right, and then we can promote the argument that somebody's attire does not make them this or make them that. She pushes the argument that when these types of things happen, there's a great outcry from the so-called Black community, and there's not a similar outcry when there's community violence. And I brought this up yesterday. The reason that there isn't the same level of outcry is because something is done. So, when Johnny kills or shoots or fights or involved with a fight with Tyrone, Johnny's arrested within 3 or 4 days. And what we don't see is the same level of responsible behavior happening towards those who are involved in the judicial system. Like, for instance, if I take somebody into custody, I take custody of a child, and that child is abused in my custody, I go to jail. I get charged. I get looked into. I get investigated. But when somebody's taken into custody and something happens to that person, systems have been pushing ways to make sure that that agent of the system is protected. And so there is no need in most cases for us to jump up and rally, because the appropriate steps have been taken. And I think that's what one of the things that her argument really doesn't stand well upon. So I would say, let's look at people who have similar values to Sister Candace and use them to translate the opinions, the values of the system or the challenges that we have, so we can better understand those challenges. In other words, we don't need her to stop speaking. We don't need her to speak less. We need her to speak more. We need her to speak more so we can have a better understanding of what we're truly working to change. All right. So, is she a trader or a translator or both? I think both. I think both. And we need her in that position, and we need more people like her to come forward so we can get a better understanding of what we're dealing with. So, just a quick thought. Just a quick thought. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but I think I'm on to something. As we focus on the empowerment agenda, which means that we're going to, for the next 10 years, 2020 to 2030 and beyond, but at least focus for 10 years, that we're going to look at ways that we can use our attention resources. We can use our mental resources. We can use our fiscal resources. We can use our spiritual resources, and we can use our political resources in ways that empower us. And if those strategies, those resources, not the resources, but the platforms we're using aren't serving us, then we need to look at doing something different. In other words, I once had a person tell me, ask me if I really enjoy the church I went to. And at that time I said no. And they said, well, if you're not being fed in that environment, you need to find another environment that feeds you. So spiritually, if the houses of worship that we're putting our resources into aren't focused on empowering us, we might need to get fed someplace else and feed someplace else. All right. Politically, the strategies that we've been using, if they haven't been effective, then we need to do something differently. If the parties that we have been supporting haven't helped to solve our problems, maybe we need to do something different. If the way we spend our money doesn't make us wealthier, let that sink in. If the way we're using our financial resources is not making us wealthier, let's do something different. That's what the empowerment agenda is. And when it comes down to voting, we're looking at an open hand process where we realize that there are people who cannot vote. We realize that people who are not going to vote. We realize that there are people who are going to vote on agenda. There are going to be people who vote independently and people who are going to vote based on a party. So we have this 5 fingers in our hand. Well, we need those who are not able to vote to support us in other ways. We need those who are not going to vote to register to vote so that their silence, their absence can truly be felt and measured. We need those who are independent to start looking at, all the candidates that they're looking at and line them up on the agenda that we're pushing forward. We need those who are agenda-based to really be strong about pushing and delineating the agenda, the litmus test that these candidates and seated politicians will be judged by. And those of us who are involved in parties, blue no matter who, or red enough said, whatever, if you're involved in either one of those, we need those individuals to be pushing to their seated politicians and candidates what the agenda is and saying, hey, I want to support you because I'm this or I'm that. But to get the support that you need to get on board with our agenda. All right. Yeah. That's our approach, our 5-fingered approach, our open hand. We can become empowered by doing that. And we need people like Sister Candace to keep talking so we can really get a thermometer, get a measurement, get the temperature, the opinions, the values of some of the things that we need to change. And after we've made those changes, then if we want a banner, that's up for discussion. But at this point, I would say we need people like her to state what she stated so that we know exactly what we're dealing with. All right. Just a thought. You guys be peace, stay fly, and hold the line.